Can you hear me? There you are. Still can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, I cannot hear anything. Oh wait, actually I can. It's just very, very quiet.
Hi, I'm being very, very quiet.
Okay.
Is that very much better? I might have to just grab my microphone. Hang on.
No, I can hear you fine now, actually.
So, hello.
Hello. So I ended up getting my movie scheduled between the time when I first asked you if you wanted to do a video and now, so that's why I only have a few minutes when you oh, we're live now, so it doesn't anyway, whatever. How's it
No,
going?
it's all good. And like I said to you, I can't help but operate on island time. So I've learned to sort of set my watch fast and build in, you know, delays. So small time, anytime, it's all good time.
Okay, well, I liked your chimps versus bonobo theory, so maybe you could explain it for the audience in the next couple of minutes, and then let me tell you some what how I respond to it.
Super, super. So, when I was growing up and first encountered ideas about evolution and human beings and so on, it was pretty clear that our DNA was most closely aligned to chimpanzees. And so, a lot of the kind of evolutionary psychology, a lot of theories about why human beings are the way they are derived from looking at how chimps operate in the wild and so on. And so, one of the things that you and I had chatted about is that generally speaking, we see that in the alpha male contest, when there are groups of males that are trying to establish themselves as the leader of the pack, we generally find that the alpha males who are best equipped to lead broad-based coalitions are the ones that end up being in charge. And we also see in chimpanzees all kinds of things that we resonate with: warfare, genocide, violence, um, very clear hierarchies, patriarchal, e.g., the females in the troop are submissive. So we see all of this stuff. In the 1970s, somebody went deep enough into the Congo to discover the bonobos, Renaissance, Caribbean, and we're shocked to discover that this group of primates had DNA that is as close, if not slightly closer, to our own. It is a matriarchal social structure, and that group sex is used as a form of establishing consensus and cooperation. So instead of hierarchical structures, you see far more kind of network effects. And so what I had pointed out to you was that if you get a group of chimpanzees at the bottom of a tree, a fruit tree, they will all have a big fight to decide who gets what. And the bonobos will have a big orgy and pretty much experience a better distribution of fruit, a whole lot less friction. And I was only speculating that the systems that emphasize things like love and cooperation are, potentially better power strategies than the ones that offer fear and domination.
Well, I'm definitely into fear and domination, but okay,
I
if
like
you
fear
say
and
so.
domination as long as it's funny.
What?
I said fear and domination is fine as long as it's funny.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, and also like obviously I am not for war and genocide. I think that we can have fear and domination without actually trying to kill each other. Like if I play a board game, I want to win, and of course I want fear and domination And I think that I would like a society that is more like a board game and not like, how it's been in human history for the last for recorded history, where, where it's more about uh it is not about it's about imposing your rules on other people by any means necessary, right?
Right. I mean, there is the somewhat trite but seriously profound observation that in order to create fear and dominate in a board game, you actually have people voluntarily engaging in the board game with you, right? So,
Exactly.
much like with small children, if you want to conquer, you can't just throw the risk thing across the table. And so I think also that aspect of the desire to kind of fear and dominate, you can rephrase it, I think, personally, in a framework in which, the upside of fear and domination sucks if what you have are people who are not worth playing against you and also trying to make you feel fear and feel dominated, right? I mean, the virtue of the prize is dependent upon how difficult it is to get. So not only do you have to have people participating, but you have to have people participating with full-on engagement.
Oh yeah, well, that's a good point.
No? I mean, I think part of the whole sort of discourse around Bitcoin or crypto or any of the systems, I mean, we could talk about Ayn Rand as well. We want to, right? I must just get the Fountainhead in here because I did put it in the description somewhere, right? But
Okay.
I think that one of those key messages that's in there that's so challenging has to do with what it means to be free and what it means to take on responsibility and what it means to be committed to your own program of domination, uh, fear, or that's the flip side of like inspiring love in your followers. However it is that you get people to pay attention and to recognize the validity of your particular imagination, is power, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing that I like about Bitcoin is it's the power of the imagination is well, I should say the imagination is very powerful here. Uh and I like that because I have quite a good imagination.
Yeah, no, I totally got it. I mean, I just want to say publicly like how yeah, I mean, privilege without being all like crystal crunchy mouthy about it, but yeah, real privilege to look at your art and certainly the capacity of symbolism, the capacity to have meta conversations while not even using words. I mean, if we didn't have these sort of fictive capacities as human beings, we couldn't have invented any of the imaginary ideas that rule our lives, right? And if you really start to reflect, almost everything that determines our kind of physical day-to-day life is the product of some kind of fiction, is the product of some kind of narrative. I mean, there's really no other way to get human beings to cooperate in large groups about anything unless they believe in a story. And you can hear it's interesting to me, right? Because when I started off in college, postmodernism was still this sort of strange French school of thought, but I went to school in Boston and, they had wrapped their heads around it. It was still sort of marginal. By the time I got to grad school in England, I was at Oxford and they were like, okay, that's not even history. And I was really trying to explore, the difference between facts and the stories that people tell about those facts and how the stories that they tell you more about them than the facts. And I was writing about dead white men and the Renaissance and the 18th century and all the rest of it. But and so eventually Oxford said to me, okay, that's legitimate. You can do that. So here we are, whatever it is, 10, 12, 13 years later, and we have mainstream media suddenly discovering the fact that there is such a thing called narrative. And postmodern sort of relativity, actually, if you just call it fake news, you're calling your news real.
I just love that. That is just we will decide what is news.
Yes, and
And
well,
we are very good at determining what is fake news. So we will tell
right.
you what that is.
Exactly. And that's just the flip side of somebody telling you what real news is. And I think to a certain extent, it's taken over 100 years for Einstein's insights around relativity to really work their way through into the mass culture, where everybody is kind of like, oh shit, truth is a composite of multiple points of view. light can be
Oh
a
my God,
particle
I'm
and a
gonna
wave.
I'm gonna have to tear you apart on the Einstein thing, but I have to get going now. Relativity existed in physics long before Einstein, and the theory of relativity is actually it has more invariant things in it than Galilean relativity, which is what we had
Oh,
before. It's
I am
just badly named, but
so excited for next time. I'm going to really be the one that sits and listens because, yeah, that really tweaks me. I think that the insights around relativity have got to go back further than Einstein's articulation. So I'm psyched for next time,
oh,
Daniel.
okay, sure. Well, I'm excited for our discussion on the Fountainhead, which we will do sometime, and it'll be episode 1 of possibly a show containing more than one episode. But
I
well,
was thinking
anyway,
about,
if
I was
anybody's
thinking
watching,
about,
stay tuned for that.
I was thinking about maybe, if it works, but maybe you and I could kind of go to church together on Sundays at some time,
Yeah.
and kind of do that as a regular. That would be really nice.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. And I'll see you around. Time. I have to go to Coco now, the new Pixar movie. It's going to be
Oh my
awesome.
God, I'm so jealous. I live on a rock in the middle of nowhere. I'm going back into the middle of my garden to, hope for the best.
Well, let me just chuckle at my superiority.
You go right ahead. I'm going to enjoy it from my position of secure submission. So yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'll see you. See you. Bye.
Bye.